It is super chilly in here today. I have ran out of heat, and that is fun and has nothing to do with Project Soapway, but I'm in my cozy hoodie, and if I start shaking, I'm super sorry. I'm not nervous, I'm just cold. But today's Project Soapway winner is our third and final of Project Soapway Challenge number 4, and this soap maker has only been making soap for about 5 or 6 months. Certainly wouldn't be able to tell it by looking at this particular submission, and I am looking forward to talking more about it in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you are here for week 10 of year 3 and the third and final Project Soapway submission winner of challenge number 4, which is a year in review in soap form. And today's winner comes from Adventures in Soap, and the soapy mind behind Adventures in Soap is Risa. Rhymes with Melissa. How she introduced herself in Discord, and I think it's super cute and a really smart way to do that for names that are maybe confusing. And I get that because I've got one of those confusing names, and I used to say rhymes with Pantene. So yeah, Rissa has only been making soap since really September, and so as a result, as you imagine, she's a recently new, Sudzer. She joined the cult recently. Not a cult. And as I said, you would not be able to tell that she was a noob at any of this because her soap is absolutely gorgeous. And I was very fascinated watching this footage and this process while I was doing the edits. Now, as you may know, for the Project Soapway challenges, the footage that is sent to me once the winners have been, announced or whatever, I take and I let them all know that I'm going to be ripping all the audio out of it, except for in cases like with Shells or whatever, who does this like professionally and she's always on her game and therefore not nervous about, doing the talking while she's making the soapy things. But I always rip the audio out. But before I do that, I listen to the audio while I'm making stuff or whatever, have it playing in the background, just watching it, and listening and getting information about the pour from that footage. And with this one, it was actually really fun because her husband was coming in and giving her, like, hyping her up, like, oh, that looks really cool, I like it. And then they were just casually talking about life, right? And the dogs and their kids and problems with smart homes. And I don't know, it made me warm and fuzzy because I love signs of life and sounds of life around the soap making process because it's relatable. Every single one of us as soap makers have all of these other things that we also still have to do. We have to make the food, we have to do the laundry, we have to, all the things. So those things don't necessarily leave us while we are making soap. And I tell you what, not one time have I ever heard in any of the footage that I get a soap maker saying, oh, you're just gonna have to wait, I'm doing this thing. I can only concentrate on this. We're not doing that because we're making the soap, of course, but we're still tuned into all of the other things that are going on in our life. And, it's a sign of multitasking at its finest. And I think Rissa is definitely one of those that has that in spades. Rissa is a homeschooling mama, which is just wild. Good on ya, for sure. In addition to doing the soapy thing. And yeah, she's a really cool sudzer with a really cool bar of soap. So let's get to the video and her footage and we can talk more about her really cool bar of soap. Okay, so today, Project Soapway Challenge number 4, third and final winner of the year in review soap is Risa of Adventures in Soap. And I, first and foremost, Kaylin Clay's going into the batch here. I really like what she does next with all of this, in that after she has blended what I'm assuming is Kaylin Clay. Could be any number of things, really, but it looked like Kaylin Clay to me. After she blends it, she goes ahead and she reserves a portion of the oils, weighs out a portion of the oils, and therefore will be weighing out a portion of the lye to hold for later in the pour to help her control, the thickness of her batter, which is a really fun idea, I mean, I guess we have done versions of that, right? Like my entire bar was essentially just reserving all of the oils and the lye, but I thought that this was, kind of fun doing it this way. Anyway, so Risa with Adventures in Soap. She is a new sudser, but also a new soap maker. She didn't start doing the soap making things until like August. And the reason that she did it actually is because somebody in her life had an allergy. And so she went to work doing this soapy thing, and her line, I didn't know this about her until I, checked out her website, which is adventuresinsoap.com. You've seen it. I've been putting it up. She is not only, tree nut oil free in her line, she's also shea butter free, cocoa butter free, and coconut oil free. And I had no idea about that. And so considering the next Project Soapway Challenge involves not using coconut oil, I really hope she is signing up for that one too, or that she's already made her bar, really, because needs to start curing so we can check that bubble. But yeah, that's very cool. And honestly, doing a, soap line that is free of all of the things that I love so dearly in life, I'm intrigued, and so I thought that that was very interesting, and I really look forward to more of her soaps. Okay, now on to the cut of this, and she is going to be working with an embed. So she is going to have a heart embed in this, and we'll be doing a multicolor kind of slanted layer swirly swirl thing going on. And half of it will be different layers of blue, which is very cool. She's going to be lightening it up as she goes up the bar. And then the other half will be shades of green, samesies with the green. And ultimately what this means is that her bottom is blue, and it was meant to represent the mountains, and the sky is green. Because her and her best friend, they have their favorite colors are blue and green, and she wanted to represent both of them within this bar. And she said within her footage that she didn't really like that she had done this. And then she immediately followed it up with, nobody needs to know that that's not exactly what I intended. And I agree. That's how you roll with that, for sure. And I think it's completely fine that you have a green sky, for sure. But with her bar, what she had sent through to us about what the soap represents, it is as follows. I'm going to quote her. So, quote, "This year has been about growing, learning new things, healing hearts, and strengthening bonds with others we love. I used my best friends and my favorite colors, hers blue and mine teal. The soap really does represent this year in that nothing goes as planned. This is the fourth idea I had, all very similar, but I should have switched the blue and the teal, and the scent discolored and accelerated, which I didn't expect. Such is my life. Nothing goes as planned, and I should have done something different." Now, first and foremost with all of that, I, disagree that she should have done something different, for sure. But I also completely relate and understand to the things not going as planned, because that can definitely be the case. And for someone like Risa, it's probably the case a lot, because Risa, turns out, she's a homeschooling mama. Yep, she does that homeschooling thing. She has 2 kids, and she is a strong ADHD, advocate warrior. And I get the feeling, based on all of the footage that I'm watching, as well as, what I've seen from her on the Discord, because even when I'm not responding to, conversations and inserting myself in every single one of them, because it's not about me, in the Discord. I'm definitely stalking. I'm keeping up on everything that's going on. She has a lot of projects. She's the type of person that always has something going on. And, you know, much like JJ, she tackles it in totality and is just like a rock star with all of it. And very meticulous. This was the entire footage for this video that she sent through was an hour long. So this pour was 1 hour long. Very, like I said, very meticulous. And she wanted to make sure that every aspect of it was done right and buttoned up before she moved on to the next. It was very, very thorough, very precise. Loved that. And I also loved throughout this, you know, pour, she had her husband in there just chit-chatting with her. She's pouring at like 9, 10 o'clock at night. I think it was, you know, midnight by the time she was done. And they were just talking about life. Like, he was coming in and hyping her up and telling her that she was doing a great job, that he liked it. But then they would, you know, their conversations would turn to how smart the kids were because they were, you know, turning off or unplugging the Alexa that was controlling their, you know, bedroom lights or their television or their music or, you know, all the things that the smart home controls at this point, which is everything. And, you know, just general chit chat about all of the things while she's pouring soap. And it's just such a homey, you know, just a comforting thing. I felt like I was in her home, just sitting there having a conversation with her and her husband while she's pouring this really beautiful soap. Now, what she had just done with that was what I had talked about earlier, that reserved oil, that reserved soap oils that she had colored with the kaolin. She went ahead and put the remaining lye into those oils, measured out for both of them, and then put that new, freshly emulsified batter into the soap batter that had already been, you know, sitting there for a while. I found that kind of interesting. That's kind of a fun way to extend the trace a little bit if your pour is going a little longer than you expected. And again, as I said, this footage was an hour long, so you would imagine that her soaps would start to get, that her batter would start to get thick at some point. And it did, you know, but nothing terrible. But this was a really, I think, smart way to do this, for sure. But yeah, I don't remember what scents she used. I'm sure she will let us know if we ask her nicely in the comments. But there was some acceleration and some discoloring. The discoloring she found out afterwards. The acceleration she found out during the pour, during all of this. And so, like, if you think about it, that's actually kind of a fun way to maybe keep your soap batter thinner longer. I don't know. I don't know. I thought it was clever, and I liked watching her mind work with that. I also like all the little trays that she has everywhere. Those sort of clear, you know, I guess they're silicone trays that she has all of her tools and her pour and everything in. She is the antithesis of me in that she's a very clean soaper, and I'm a very messy soaper. Look how clean she's keeping her workspace. It's lovely. But here's, you know, kind of where things start accelerating and getting pretty thick. So again, I don't remember what scents she used, but they did. They decided to be spicy with her. But in all honesty, that's kind of okay for a pour like this. Not too spicy, obviously, since she's wanting to change the color as she goes along. But, you know, it's okay that it gets thicker because it's, you know, like a layered swirly swirl thing. And so it works. But with something that, like that, yeah, it's getting a little bit too thick. So that's not fun. But she didn't, like, panic or even mention it in her footage, right? I still just hear her chit-chatting with her husband and doing the things, and she's not panicking. She's not saying, I'm sorry, I have to, you know, focus on this. I can't listen to you right now or whatever. It was delightful. And I've yet to hear a sudser, you know, do that and show that they were actually panicked or, you know, not tuned in to the rest of their life. Because I think that's kind of the type of person who's drawn to making soap is also probably the type of person that's drawn to making a million things at all times, you know? And so therefore, with all the different things that we have going on, we're sort of required to never really focus our brain on one thing in totality. And so the sudsers are just an example of being able to multitask, essentially. And I love that. But Her soap here, I really enjoy this color and how she's been switching the colors as she goes. Now, normally what I do with, ombres or gradients, I'll never remember what those are called. Just, it doesn't matter. I will never learn that. But what I usually do is I have just some oils that have not hit the soap, batch yet, that are colored with the mica that I want. And I just pour a little bit more of those into the, soap batter as I go to color it. But this is definitely another way to do it too. And to the soap itself and the actual, recipe formulation, I am very interested really in seeing and hoping, I'm very much hoping that she does submit for the 4th Project Soapway Challenge, because again, we're doing one without coconut oil and it has to be a big bubble. So that's going to be amazing. And I'm interested in seeing, how she does that. But according to her website here, the things that she tends to use in place of all of the things she does not use include avocado oil, olive oil, mango butter, kokum butter, 2 butters that I love so very much, lard and tallow, very smart, palm and palm kernel oil, responsibly sourced. And then, of course, her additives include clays, oatmeal, aloe vera, soap nuts, pumice, goat's milk, all the things. And I think that that's really interesting. I would like to see, again, her big bubble blend, and maybe her and Miss A can teach me things, because I don't do anything with, no coconut oil. It's very rare that I don't use coconut oil in a soap, because I like the big bubble a whole lot, and that's like the easiest way to get it. But so yeah, we'll just, I guess, stay tuned for that and see if we actually get another soap from Risa and Adventures in Soap when we, do Project Soapway Challenge number 5. Also, to that, the Adventures in Soap, such a brilliant name for your business. That's so smart, because it's actually super versatile. If you're starting out right now and you want to be like making and selling the soap, awesome. But if you decide later that you want to be blogging about the soap, awesome. Adventures in Soap totally works for that. If you decide that you want to be doing videos of the soap, Adventures in Soap also works for that. It's a brilliant name and something that is really easy to put in the old algorithm and get, hits on for ranking on Google and doing all the things. So 10 out of 10. Well done. That was a very thoughtful, naming of your business, and one that you won't want to be changing, a year down the road or whatever, which happens a lot. Like, it's surprising how often that will occur. Somebody will name their business some kind of thing and decide that they don't like it and completely rebrand. And I've talked about that before, the dangers of rebranding. So, I'm not going to do that again. But point is, with this, you don't really have to worry about that, because you're not going to really get tired of this. And Adventures in Soap could be any number of, soapy adventures. Huh. Now, with all of this, with the, lovingly smoothing down the top of the bar and everything, I really enjoyed watching this. So that's why I left it in. But then she goes to swirl it, right? And she actually swirled it a couple times and decided that she didn't like it. She didn't like the swirl. And then so she went back to smoothing it down again. And I was I was entranced by the entire thing, because, well, it made me think of smoothing out brownie batter before you put it in the oven, right? Or frosting a cake with like the frosting knife. And I thought that was really fun. And it was, I enjoyed watching it, and that's why I left it in. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as well. But I really thought that it was cute that she continued to change the sculpted top. Like, how do I really want this? And I don't know, shows that she's not afraid of her soap batter, because she continued to smooth it out and try it again. And that's lovely. Okay, and now on to the cut of this. And as you can see, we do have a couple pockets on the side there where the soap got a little thick, but she does spend a lot of time lovingly, filling in all of the holes in the soap with her end pieces. And so, all good. It's no big deal. It's not the end of the world when your sides look like that, especially if you're cutting it very soft. Now, as far as her process goes, I don't know if she C-pops her gels but those colors are definitely stunning. And they're so smooth. The colors are just so smooth, especially when you consider how much kaolin clay got put into it. There's no, little white spots or anything like you frequently see in mine, because I'm lazy and just give the kaolin clay just a cursory mix, But that her using her stir stick to actually mix everything up and all of that, make sure that the clays were very well blended before she continued. Smart. Brilliant, for sure. You know what else is brilliant? This cutter. She made it. And she was talking about the cutter while she was, cutting the bars or whatever. And she had sort of figured out how to, something that she sort of wanted. And it's essentially a tester at this point. She's testing it and was fiddling with it a lot. And was just kind of talking about her process and everything. So I found that to be just very, very cool. I don't know how to make cutters. Like, I would like to think that if I had to figure these things out on my own, I probably could. But I don't know, ever since marrying Mr. Soap and Clay, I just, like, the silliest things in the world, I don't even try to, figure out anymore. Because I'm like, well, you're here and you're good at that. So, not that this is simple. Making a cutter is very hard. I'm specifically talking about, how most recently I asked him to come down from the attic while he was putting away Christmas decorations to plug in my stand mixer because the plug was stuck. Yeah, that's what I do. And Risa, what does she do? She just goes ahead and she makes a whole ass cutter. That's amazing. And her soaps are absolutely gorgeous. I love, again, how thoughtful this entire thing was, how gorgeous they ended up being, and her entire process with everything. And thank you so much, Risa, for sharing your end of year soap with us. And there it is, Rissa's submission from Adventures in Soap. And I think this bar is absolutely stunning. I don't mind at all that the mountains are blue and the sky is green. She had issues with it. I don't know why she would. Because also, as she talked about within her footage, if something doesn't work out the way that she thinks it is, it's still going to work out in some kind of way. And you don't have to let people know that that's not what you meant to do in the first place. And that's true. Still soap at the end of the day, and it looks great, even if it doesn't match the image of it that we initially had in our head. And it looks really gorgeous. I'm very, very proud of her. This was actually also the very first Project Soapway Challenge she submitted for, which is really very cool that she won on her very first submission. But yeah, I'm really glad that she, stepped outside of her comfort zone, did the thing, filmed the thing, submitted the thing, and, shared it with us. So now you know what's next, Sudsers. You need to go share her. Go give her support on all of her socials. Check out her Instagram, her Facebook. Go check out her website. She has like 4 products on her website right now, which as far as I'm concerned is like a super smart way to life, especially when you're starting a business. Just keep it small and simple for right now. Keep making the soapy things and scheming about the soapy things, but don't overextend yourself, because then it stops being fun. So yes, go give brand new soap maker Risa and Adventures in Soap, which again, really cool name. That was a very, very clever naming for that, for sure. All of the support. Go give her all the love is the point. I am going to go, you guys, because it's really cold. And thank you for being here, Sudsers. You were awesome. You were amazing. You rock at all the things, and you know that. But I am going to keep the thanks short today because, as I said, it's freezing. So I am out of here. But I will see you guys all again tomorrow for, I think we're starting a new deep dive playlist tomorrow. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So that'll be more soapy fun. Bye.